Raymont Anderson is a Renaissance man in many ways and is a lifelong learner. His eclectic academic career and spiritual path has aided him in transforming his own life while also serving as a catalyst to assist others in transforming their own lives. Reverend Dr. Anderson is an ordained interfaith, interspiritual, and New Thought minister. He serves on the Leadership Council and on the Board of Directors of a World Alliance of Interfaith Clergy. He is a certified holistic life coach, certified angel card reader, and a certified teacher and freelance interpreter of American Sign Language. He's an author, a professional facilitator, and a Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner. It doesn't say it here, but he's an all-around cool guy. Please help me give a warm welcome to Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
So I have a question before we begin. How many of you were not here when last time was? Okay, I would like to reiterate the warning at the beginning. The exits to your left. The oxygen man. Okay, so real quickly. The teacher in me wants to ask you a question. Let's start there. Are you alive?
Yes.
Now, it sounds like your question, I know, because you're thinking, well, yeah. My actual question is, how alive are you? Because that's the more important question. Because clearly, we're all alive. And for those of you who don't know my background, we can get together and do coffee, because there's a story, trust me. Having had a father who had Lou Gehrig's disease, that was his experience. And he transitioned in 2002, having an older brother who was experiencing alcoholism and experienced his transition by way of heart failure and liver failure. Being someone who has been to I'm 48 years young, and I've been to approximately 3 funerals for every year that I've been alive. That's a lot. Now, I say that to say that where I am now, I understand death doesn't exist. Not the way we're taught to believe in it. Doesn't exist. There's only life, because there is only God. Therefore, there can only be life. Which is why I asked the question, how alive are you? There's a story, I'm recovering fundamental Christian, so pause for a moment. There's a story in the Bible where this woman goes to Elisha and she's like, dude, check this out, look, I need some money, I need this and that and the other. And he says, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out to all of your neighbors and get anything that you can hold oil in and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, so she goes to everybody and she asks for something to hold oil in. And she collects Tupperware and all kinds of stuff. She's got a bunch of stuff. And what happens was basically God fills everything that she has. She's pouring and it fills it. And she's pouring and it fills it. And she's pouring and she's pouring and she's pouring and it fills everything. So she gets to the very last one and she pours and it's the last one. And that's when the source that she was pouring from ran out. If she had had more, she would have gotten more. Where in our lives are we blocking the pouring of more because we think that's enough? Where in our lives do we limit source? I mean, the gentleman who told us, don't limit the vision. Don't say it has to be this and this way and in this shape and etc. Because where I am in my mind, whether I'm unconsciously unconscious or consciously conscious or wherever it is that I am, the moment I say this has to be this way, source is somewhere saying, oh, but I had so much more for it. That's what you asked for. Because we get stuck in this thing. There was a story where this young monk he wants to see Kuan Yin. He's Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. And he meditates it. Om Mani Padme Om, and he's chanting. And Kuan Yin appears behind him. And she walks up and she taps him. I'm meditating to see Kuan Yin. Oh, money baby. She looks at him and he's like, really? And she goes up and she taps him again. Excuse me. Kuan Yin, please. And she backs away and she says, okay, when you're ready, then I'll show up again. How often in our lives, on an average basis, are we brushing our blessings off? Because we expect it to show up this way versus this way. How often do we say, I am here and I am ready to experience the fullness and allness? I mean, beginning of this magazine, it talks about all of the things that we believe, all of the things that we practice. But when we go out there and we're in the world, are we walking that path? Are we walking the yellow brick road, or have we veered off into the poppy fields and fallen asleep? How often are we doing what we need to be doing in order to be fully alive? So today we're going to be talking about, are you alive? Now, my sister, red shirt in the back, teases me and calls me the master of acronyms or something, because I love acronyms. So as you can see, there is one. So let's go over them. Sorry. It's the game show hosted. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Are You Alive? Let's start with the A. When you are alive, you are someone who is awake. Now, I don't mean awake. I mean, are you awake? When you see someone, and I think I mentioned this before, when you are at Walmart, Costco, Wawa, and you run into that person who does not want to give you what you're asking for, are you awake in that moment to say, even though this person does not know who they really are, I will hold in consciousness for them, and I will say, may not say it out loud, but I will still acknowledge namaste. Because I know for you. Because I'm awake enough to know for you who you are. I don't know why you are being upset and angry. I don't know. And I don't need to know. Because I can still honor and bless you. Because the anger that you are giving to me is coming to me for a reason. Because I know how to take it, transmute it, and give back love. Because I'm awake enough to know that. Are you aware? Are you someone who is consciously aware of who and what you are? In a general, everyday moment, like I said before when last I was here, so for those of you who weren't, I apologize. When you wake up and look in the mirror in the morning, do you acknowledge that it is God seeing God through the eyes of God? Or do you look in the mirror and say, another gray hair, another wrinkle, God doesn't do that. Are you aware enough to acknowledge and realize how amazing and beautiful you actually are? This thing on the outside, yeah, we want to judge that because that's what the world tells us to do. But when we're aware enough, we are aware enough to say, no, because I know who and what I am. Why would God criticize God? Why would I look in the mirror and criticize myself? Why would I look in the mirror of my friend, the person across from me, and criticize them? Because that's still God criticizing God. There's no reason to do that. Are you awesome? And you can take that in two ways. It's awesome, yes, I'm awesome. Or are you awesome in terms of how often are you able to go out into the world and truly see with awe? There's some amazingly beautiful, wonderful... Okay, check this out. So, I told you before that I was a nerd. I'm a nerd. Not even going, I'm a nerd. So, many years ago as a teenager, because teenagers do this, you'll find out when you get older, that I'm bored. So one night I had a dream, and in this dream I woke up, And God called me forth and had a PowerPoint and said, look, Ray, see the pie chart? See all this stuff in green. See all this stuff in red. Now, this is all the times you complain in red. The length of time you've been alive, 18 years, 19 years. That's a lot of complaining every day. Do you understand I've given you enough fish that if you learn just the names of and the breed of every fish that exists in the ocean, that's a lifetime by itself. Blades of grass, grains of sand, the number of beaches, volcanoes. Do you understand what I gave you on this planet to marvel at? And I woke up and I said, I will never be bored again. And from that point forward, I see with the eyes of youth. I am able to, first snow, oh, you should see me outside when I see that first snowflake. I'm running around the parking lot like a little child. Because to me, it's magic. It's awesome. L. Are you learning? Especially those of us who are adults, because we get to the point where we're like, I'm not learning anymore. But why not? There's enough out there to continue. If I were to quiz you right now and say, I will give you $1,000 for every one of these that you know, and I mean know, how many thousands of dollars would I be handing out to you? Because there's the knowing on the surface where, yeah, I know it, but do I know it? Have I learned it to the point where it's here, not just here? That when a friend says, so you go to that new thought place, right? So what exactly is that? And you can explain it because you know it. Well, what is metaphysics? You know it. You can explain it. What's the difference between, because my friend, she invited me to a unity. What's the difference between what you do and what they do? And you can explain it. Not because it's conceptualized, but because it's heart realized. Are you light? When people talk about you, what do they say? Well, I heard that Reggie. What do they say? Because they laugh. Is there something out here? Now we need a new coffee. When people talk about you, you want to be so illuminated that now, yes, you are going to have your people that, no matter how good Gandhi was, no matter how good Martin Luther King Jr. was, Mother Teresa, no matter how good, there are going to be people who are, because they're not satisfied with themselves. Beside the point, how light are you? How much are you illuminating wherever you go? Whenever you walk into a place, does the light of God come with you? Consciously, because it can't not be there. Not possible, because you are God. But do you consciously bring it forth when you go into a place? When you go to your job, do you go there as the light of God, or do you go there, meet with her again today? Or do you consciously say, while there are times that she and I have not gotten along in board meetings before, that's in the past. I was asleep. I am consciously awake now, that when I go to this board meeting, I don't care what she comes at me with. All I'm going to give her is love and light and illumination. And I might get fired, that's fine. Because I know a better job is out there. But do I go forth knowing that I am a light? And light, L-I-T-E. Do you have fun? Or is life a drag? Do you laugh? How often? Now, it's been, and I'm sure you've heard this before, it has been said that children laugh an average of, and I'm hypothetically, 4,629 times a day. And adults laugh approximately 6. That's what? Not in my household, it doesn't. Because in my household, it's all day, every day, as much as possibly possible. But how do you approach life? Do you approach life with a sense of festiveness? Do you deck the halls? Fa la 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 everywhere you go? Or do you once I reach a certain age, it's not appropriate to giggle. And I'm sure you know people who, you know them because they have the, I have a reputation to uphold. I'm not going to. Versus an all-out, gut-twisting. When was the last time you had one of those? One of those ones where it felt like you were doing sit-ups or something. Because you just let yourself go. You have to be light. Don't take life so seriously. Not their version of life. Yes, there are, you can go to the next one. Yes, there are things out there that happen that are bad when we put a label to it. Things that are atrocities. Yes, and I'm not saying laugh at them. I'm saying when you get to that place where you are light, and this situation comes before you, and you hear about these girls who were kidnapped and taken to wherever they were taken, because you are in this place, you are able to say, not hope. You are able to say, I'm going to go treat on it. I'm going to go pray and meditate because I'm already light. My consciousness is already here, not here. Because when the consciousness is here and bad news comes to us, bad news, we're all in it. That's what we do. I know you know people that if you ask them, what was on the news last night? Oh my goodness, check this out. So last night, and they go through the litany of all the bad things that happened on the news. Why? Why let it drag you down? Why let it pull you down when you don't have to? Are you inspired? What makes you wake up in the morning and get out of bed and go have fun? Because if it's one of those, oh, it's 5 o'clock, oh, I really don't, and you have to go back to bed, why? 5 o'clock, up and running, poof. If you're so inspired to. 3 o'clock, up and running, if you are so inspired to. If I said to the average one of you, and you feel free to raise your hand if you want to, no pressure, exits. If from now forth, you have to wake up at 4 a.m., for those who don't already do it, because some of you are like, oh, I'll do that now. Are you willing to wake up at 4 a.m. to begin your day? 3 a.m. If I were to say, I will give you $5,000 if you wake up at 3 a.m. every day. Now, because the money is the motivation. That becomes the motivation. That's what gets the energy going. But ideally, we want to have some reason for being that gets us motivated, raring, and ready to go. Going out into the world and transforming the consciousness out there is amazing to me. We just had this conversation about transformation of the globe. Starts with me. Starts with you. Starts with you. It's individual. It's not about, well, you go. I don't want to. You got it. It's about being the change for each and every one of us. Are you inspired? Do you like art, music, dance, comedy? What do you like? What gets you going? Introspection. Are you introspective? Do you go into that place that Jesus the Christ taught about when he said, go within? The kingdom of heaven is within. Do you have quiet time with you? Or are you one of those people who, I don't like being by myself. I don't like being alone. I have to be with me. Do you go in? How often do you meditate? And just be. And it doesn't have to be, traditional meditation. It could be walking through the park. Just sitting on the bench in the sunlight. Just you. With you as God. Are you in tune? Your life is like a musical instrument. Are you playing in tune with the vibration of all that is? Or when you walk into a room, do people say, oh, here comes Ray with that discord, disharmony? Because wherever he goes, confusion follows. Whenever I go home to Pittsburgh, for those who weren't here, family stuff in Pittsburgh is a very interesting thing. And I go there, and the orchestra that is my family, they play some music that is amazingly off-key. And I don't care, because I accept the challenge of, okay, check this out. and together. I like the challenge because I'm going to go there holding my truth, knowing who and what I am, knowing who and what they are, and I'm going to do my best to bring them into a state of harmony for as long as possible. Because I don't want to hear that stuff while I'm here, so we need to sing together. Okay. It's an A flat. Okay, thank you, Mom. Good, got you. Are you in tune? Are you vibrating at that? V. Are you voracious? Do you speak your truth? Are you authentic and are you transparent? Or are you one of those people who, and I know it's not you, I'm speaking hypothetically because I know who you are. Do you, well, I don't, because if I say that, if I really tell him, what New Thought is, he's a Christian and he's going to go into, you're going to hell and you're going to burn, and so I'm not going to. Or do you say, check this out, New Thought, X, Y, Z, and you explain it. Because what that person thinks about me it's not any of my business. So I'm going to be true and authentic to whom I am. Are you vibrant? Are you, when someone sees you, are you, now I've been called, and I'm not accepting it, I've been called hyper. I personally don't think that I am. I think that I am someone who has a love of life and I'm very active. Just going to say that. I'm not going to say anything about the tie, but in terms of being vibrant, are you someone who goes and does and enjoys? There's a gentleman named Nick Wojcicki who has no arms and no legs. And this guy does more than the average. He has no arms. I don't know, anybody know who I'm talking about? Yeah. He has no arms and no legs. Recently on YouTube, he posted a video of himself skydiving. He surfs. The young lady whose arm was bitten off by a shark was his surfing teacher. He golfs. Puts the club under his chin. He swims with no arms and no legs. He does more than many of us able-bodied people do. Carpe diem, seize the day. Go out there and be vibrant, victorious. No matter what happens, claim victory over it. I don't care what the doctor says. Many years ago, and I don't know if you can notice, this finger right now, the way it is, it's straight. Now it doesn't look straight, it looks like it's doing this, I know. And it's because many years ago it had a tumor in it. And the doctor removed it and the tumor came back. And it came back with a vengeance. It was like this big, gnarly, knotty thing on there. And they took it off again. And the doctor said that my range of motion was going to be this. And I said, no, it's not. I do martial arts and I do American Sign Language. I need to be able to make a fist. I need to be able to make an A. I can't make it. That's not an A, that's an X. Don't play with me, man. He said, well, I'm sorry, but that's medicine. Okay. I'll see you in 3 months with a fist. And I went and I said, no, I'm like Wolverine. For those comic book nerds, I healed like Wolverine. You are going, I don't care what he said. You listen to, you're connected to me, you're not connected to him. Listen to me. Do what I'm telling you to do. Close. Come on. Till eventually it was there. And I walked in when I went back in my 3 months and I said, okay, let's measure your range of motion. And I said, okay, you ready? Yeah, I know I haven't played. And literally, he dropped the little chart thing, turned around and walked out. Brought his team of doctors back and said, do it again. That shouldn't be possible. Claiming victory. Knee surgery, same thing. I'm not supposed to be able to go deeper than this. But once again, Wolverine, I need to be able to do a split. I need to be able to that's stuff that I mean. Don't call me hyper, don't judge me. He told me I could do a little wireless thing, because if I was here, leave me alone, don't judge me. But they said that was going to be it. And I said, no. I'm not accepting that. And even if that's what it had been, that's fine. Because I know in a higher purpose, it is what it's supposed to be. Are you enthusiastic? Are you in with God in theos? Are you empowered? Do you take on the victim consciousness, or do you take on the I know who and what I am, and everywhere I go there as that, as the I am that I am, no matter what comes before me? And are you enlightened? And I know there's that, if you see someone on the road and they say they're enlightened, smack them. Yeah, I know the phrase. However, there's this story that says that when the Buddha became enlightened, he didn't become enlightened just for himself. His awakening was so profound and powerful, it woke everybody up. Before him, during his time, and ever henceforth. That means we are just as enlightened as Jesus the Christ, as Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. We are just as powerful, just as alive, just as awake as them. Question is, do we acknowledge, accept it, and realize it? I was going to read something from here, but I know my time is lagging. There was actually, So, Uncle Ernest says in both A New Design for Living and Philosophy of Ernest Holmes. Hear that one? An inside joke that I missed?
Uncle Ernest. Uncle Ernest.
So, we appear to measure out for ourselves carefully and assiduously the portion of life which we will experience. Figuratively, we may use an eyedropper or a spoon or a bucket with which to do our measuring. Some people seem content to use an eyedropper all the time. Others use an eyedropper for this and a bucket for that. It would appear that there is no good reason why we should not use the larger container all the time. No one or no thing ever specifies for us that we must use a small container for some experiences of life, and a larger container for others. What it is that determines the nature and size of the container which we use to measure our lives are ourselves. Our container has a specific shape and form, a pattern which is created according to the nature of our faith, of our mental equivalent, the content of our thought. We can have life as abundantly or as bound as we make up our minds to be. The moment we decide that we are going to be fully alive, that we are going to go out there knowing who and what we are in the fullness, the isness, and allness of all that is, there's no other way to be except fully alive, fully empowered, fully awake. So I ask again, how alive are you? So as you go out today to the rest of the world, marinate and think, when I go shopping, how alive am I in shopping? When I'm talking to my family, how alive am I in talking to my family? Whatever I'm doing, am I doing it with all that I am, with all that is, as God?